Today we're talking about ballerinas. We made it. Okay.
We have.
Hello, welcome to the HolmFront. I'm Tyler, your host. To my right, as always, is Mitch, my overly artistic friend. Mitch,
Hello.
thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
Still in the midst of problems, but fewer
Technical problems. he
technical
means.
problems, all behind the scenes stuff that you'll never know about, except for the fact that I won't shut up about them. Okay, so we just saw a movie. And this is
Mhm.
one of the few that we actually went and saw like very shortly after it was released.
Yeah,
I think it was
actually,
like Thursday or something.
we're always
right?
so late. We're like, we got to see that and review it right away. It doesn't happen.
No, we never have the time or the
Or we do
time.
one, like we could see the movie, but then not record because of whatever. So
'Cause-
it's like half done.
well,
We're like,
'cause
we saw it.
Tuesdays are matinee days, so we go on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But then neither one of us is really free afterwards because we have to go off to work, and then it's like super late by the time we're in.
Although it was,
I
a
live far
matinee
from
when
everything.
We saw it today.
It was it?
Not the same amount of discount, but it was a discount. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. You owe me money. Okay, so what did we see now that we've been alluding to it?
We saw Ballerina, which is a spin-off of the John Wick movies. It
Which
was okay.
in itself is kind of a weird thing to say. Like, who wanted a spin-off of the John Wick films? But then again, I guess once they started making sequels, it was like, who wanted sequels to the John Wick movies?
Well, I don't think they wanted sequels or spin-offs. They just wanted money, I think.
Oh
And
yeah, no,
they were printing money.
talking about us as the audience, but considering the audience,
Mm-hmm.
I would say a lot of people wanted this.
Oh, agreed.
It was a
Yeah, I
full
think
theater.
people were very interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seemed like people enjoyed it,
Yeah, agreed.
I think.
I know I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. It was good.
It was all right.
So why don't we start with what would you rate this on a star system? Let's start there.
Oh,
Kind
that's a
of gauge
good question.
where we're at. We didn't script this. I'm
As a
throwing this on
movie or as a John Wick movie?
Let's do both. So what as a movie? What do you got?
As a movie, this is like 2 out of 5.
Okay.
It's not very good.
As a John Wick?
As a John Wick, it's like 3.5 or 4. It's pretty good for that, I think.
Okay.
Do you agree with that, or would you do something different?
I think both. I'd give it a 3.
Oh, you just think it's down the middle?
It's just right down the middle. It's
Okay.
like because for my issues with the film, like it doesn't try to be something more, and it surprised me in a couple of different ways that I wasn't expecting. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I can deal. No, for what it is, it's enjoyable. We're not. One of the things, main point here is that not a lot of substance. Like,
Yeah.
Not at all.
That's why I give it 2 on the just movie scale.
Sure.
Because
narratively, it's almost just dry.
which is kind of a shame, too, because the John Wick universe is interesting if they would just take the time to sit down and iron out some of the details about how certain things work. You don't have to use it all, but just have it, because that was one of the main things that I liked about the John Wick movies. So, okay, full disclosure, I started with Chapter 3.
Oh, what? Oh,
That's
okay.
the
Did
first
you go
one
to
I
the
saw.
theater to see
I
it?
saw it
Okay.
in the theater.
Got it.
Yeah, so I saw the third one in the theater, and I was blown away because I was like, "What is this? The table under the table? Who are these people? There's
coins and
assassins,
stuff. Like what,
coins.
the entire world is made up of assassins or something.
Yeah, I'm like, this is kind of wild. They have like this bounty. It's all stylized and cool. And how interesting is this? And then I went back and saw the others and found out that there's not that much more.
You got
They're
about
really
what
not-
there is. Yes.
there's really not that much more than that. Just interesting ideas, and then you're done.
But yeah,
the rest is just shooting people.
which I think is the main problem with this film. Might as well just jump there.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of interesting illusions? That's
Yeah, it just
all
doesn't go
they
anywhere.
make.
It doesn't commit to any of them to
No.
say like, "Hey, here's like a driving point for why you should see this movie." It's just like the driving point was just killing people with a flamethrower.
Oh my God, we'll get into that scene. 'Cause that was unbelievable, literally. Okay, so What?
Well, how did you? Well, tell me this first. How did you experience the John Wick movies? Did you just see the first one in theaters and then watch them all as they came out?
I think I did. I think I did
Okay.
because there was a couple of different films that were coming out in that vein.
Mm-hmm. You're a big fan, then, are you?
I loved the first one.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, yeah, it has its moments, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It was such a neat concept within. I don't know, because there was like the Equalizer that was out at the time or
Mm-hmm.
around that similar time, and I was like, yeah, it's got more going for it than the Equalizer. Like, I like the Equalizer, but this one
Okay.
a lot more stylized, and it isn't trying to be too serious with itself. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it was great with the hook, with the killing the dog, and then when Keanu
Yeah,
Reeves was just
genius.
it was almost like a Robert Downey Jr. coming in as Iron Man for Keanu Reeves. He was just rebranding himself as this action star, and he was doing a really good job
Mm-hmm.
because he's the selling point for the film. He's
Yeah.
got like the suit and the cool guns, and he actually does all this stuff in real life. Like he's a competitive shooter, and so it's pretty
Mm.
fun to watch him if you guys ever never have. Go on YouTube and look him up. But yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things, and it had, like I said, a lot of these illusions that were, I don't know, just fun to think about, like some kind of
Yeah.
these like hotels that were like neutral territory, and then this like
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
multiple organizations that worked against each other, and these coins, this like weird currency that they use with each other and stuff.
And I guess it kind of sparked the imagination because you would walk into the next movie thinking to yourself, maybe I'll get a little bit more about that world. And I mean, to be fair, I feel like you did get a little bit more with each movie.
There
It
was
was
more
never
from one to
enough to be
two,
satisfying,
right?
but there was always like a little bit. So you were kind of like, well, maybe I'll get a little more with the next movie.
And it's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was good enough for what it was. It
Mhm.
just there is a point where not trying to be more than you are does start to hurt you because you're not like taking any risks. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that this film failed to do pretty much altogether was that it didn't take any risks at all.
Yeah. You know what it had me thinking of as this movie was playing? This is like terrible. I should just be more emotionally invested in the movie. But I just felt like it was just the epitome of American entertainment, just like through and through.
Kind of.
It was just like extreme, hyper stylized violence. It was, guns, cars,
Axes,
suits, axes,
knives,
knives,
some plates riven.
slashing, shooting, stabbing, sexy characters. Everybody's sexy.
Everyone.
Everybody's sexy pretty well, not everybody actually. But pretty much everybody. All the main characters were sexy. Which is fine.
What a
I
point.
mean, and it's not like and I don't want to like it's just like that thing where you're in the culture and then you have this out of body experience where you think to yourself, what is the rest of the world
Yeah.
think when they watch this? Like imagine if they could be sitting here listening to us chow down on this like popcorn and watching people get gunned.
Just murdered left and right and brutally.
And I feel like too, it's not even like this is like the slightly classier version of what it's of like all the other American movies that are like that, right? Like The Accountant 2 is just
Oh
like
my
every
gosh.
trailer of that is just there's so much more action. It's just like they're shooting people the whole movie.
The whole movie.
Everybody goes see it, and everyone's like, yeah, it's a better movie because they're shooting people up. They didn't really do that much in the first movie, but in the second movie, they're shooting people up.
There's like 3 more dead guys than the first one. It's fantastic. I think there was I wish I pulled this up before we started recording. There was a body counter. So somewhere on YouTube, somebody went through
Which movie?
I think it was number 3.
For John Wick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they were counting how many kills. It was a ridiculous number. This one also, a ridiculous number of people die in this movie. And this is like genocide levels. Like whoever these people are, she killed all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it. Like I said, it makes these illusions. So let's jump through a couple of the illusions that it makes.
Yeah, the things it introduces that it fails to deliver on. We have to put it in that context because otherwise what's going to happen is we'll be like, well, they introduced this theme, and then you're going to be sitting there thinking to yourself, are they going to expand on it? And the answer is probably not, but that's mostly because the film didn't. So
Yeah.
I don't know how
Sorry.
we could. It's like it would just be inserting it into it. But these were the opportunities, and this is what I think classifies it as a HolmFront episode. Is like these were the opportunities, the threads that it could have followed to do something just a little bit more. Like you could still have it like 90% action, but maybe like 85% action, and we can have like 5% more of like some depth and story.
No. Well, let's jump in the first one.
Okay.
And this harkens back to our episode on the movie Sinners. Is like the film name, right? It's going
Oh,
to allude
yeah.
something. It's called Ballerina.
Yeah, I thought that should mean something. Doesn't mean anything.
She did some ballerina training, kinda.
Yeah, for like one scene, and then it just is never brought up again.
Never
That
again.
really bothered me.
It's not in her fighting style. She
Right.
doesn't like perform and use that to kill people or something. Like I thought it would be, I don't know, like they'd get someone to come in to watch her perform, and that's how they draw him in to kill him or something. I don't know, like just something that plays on that thing. Not at all. It was just the only way that they used it that like made sense to the narrative was that this was a discipline. It was a way of visually showing how you could keep falling and failing and falling and failing and then keep getting back up and trying again, no matter how much pain it inflicted. But that's it. That's all you got. It didn't go any further than that.
Yeah, it really bothered me because they kind of tease it. There's this scene early on where she's going through her training, like the fighting training, and then she's getting beaten up by this guy, and then her trainer says, you're letting him win because you're letting him dictate the rules of the fight.
Right.
You're way smaller, you're way weaker, so don't play into this hand-to-hand exchange that he wants you to do. Fight like a girl, basically. And that kind of made a lot of sense because, I mean, Anna de Moss is pretty small.
So small. She's 5'4", and her weight's not disclosed on Google, but I'm going to guess it's a healthy 120 pounds at the most, and that's reaching. She's probably less.
She's very
petite. A tiny girl.
Right. So I'm like, okay, so she's going to have to throw this guy around somehow. And so, play dirty or whatever. So then when it transitions to her fighting style, I was like, all right, well, ballerinas, it's a very elegant, feminine thing to do. And then you just brought up the fact that she's a girl, so she has to fight a certain way. And then she doesn't fight that way.
And then she proceeds
movie.
to fight the exact same way that the chick told her not to fight the whole movie. I was like,
yeah. What was that?
You brought this up.
There's even this scene where she gets a katana and she's like slashing people. I'm like, that would have been the time to have her do like twirls and stuff. And I'm not saying go like ridiculous with it, like, up on like, tippy toes.
She's all like Harley Quinn kind of psychopath, just like.
Yeah, I'm not saying like that, but you would just see like a hint of it. Just like where, instead of like just a slash, she kind of like steps back and then spins around and like cuts him or something.
Sure.
And then we'd be like, oh, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
That was a ballerina move.
Exactly. But that would have made sense because it would have kept her enemies on their toes because they wouldn't be expecting that
on
from
their
her.
toes, ballerina. That's good. That wasn't scripted.
Oh my gosh. But they wouldn't have expected it, is my point.
Sure.
They would have been like, whoa, what is she doing? That's the whole idea. Like
psycho moves. Never saw this coming.
It was the same problem that
stupid dance you to death.
Marvel movie had, the newest one, where they had this petite woman in it.
Captain America.
She was smaller than, she was like half the size of Anna de Moss, so she's probably like 55 pounds. Like, but she was like throwing people and stuff. I was like, this is insane. She needs to like climb up on their back and then like stab them with a knife or do like the
make
ninja.
her like a mini Chucky or something.
Yeah, you need to be like, you got to use what you have in order for it to be somewhat believable. And I think that would have been cool too, because it's John Wick is so stylized, and this movie has that. So I'm like, well, why can't she have a fighting style that's kind of unique to her? Get creative with it. It doesn't all have to be like Ballerina Twirls, but just like something that feels uniquely fresh in her. And instead, they were like, well, she just does the John Wick thing. And it was like,
which is a lot more believable because John Wick is so tall. He's a lot of dude. I don't know exactly how tall he is, but when he's standing next to her in the film, he looks like a giraffe. I'm like, dude, guy's all legs. He's just. So it looks like he could easily get people into maneuverability where he could toss them around.
Yeah.
And that was the other problem I had because they have a confrontation. And he's just toying with her. I was like, okay, so you're visually showing me that she's not as capable in this way as he is. But then you proceed to continue as if she's just as capable as he is. Because this is exactly.
Like, how does this tier work?
Right, yeah. Like, so is she or is she not? Because, I mean, I saw the last couple movies, specifically number 4.
Yeah.
Where I was like, and that was another one that just went way too long. I was like, we had to go up those stairs like 4 times, and I was like, oh my gosh, is he gonna do the same thing going up the stairs again? He did. He did the same thing. Beat up a million people on the way up.
But this time he has a teammate.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
this time he has a gun.
He's got more energy somehow. But same thing for her. It was like some of these fights went for so long. I was like, okay, even someone in extreme shape would be gassed at this point. And she's like, all right, I've only got 300 more people to go. And I was like, dude, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it would have helped a little bit with that if they had gone a little bit further into the ballerina thing. Because if she's using like the elegance and grace and not brute force, it might
Right.
help us a little bit with the fact that she's able to go for a little bit longer than most of these other people.
Yeah, the
But
suspension of disbelief was really pushing it. Although I'm not really that particular. I was more just disappointed because it didn't feel like flavorful and theme based.
sure,
The actual action itself was perfectly fine. I mean, it was unrealistic. I mean, there was lots of unrealistic
but
things.
all of
But I
John Wick
kinda just,
action
like
is that's so.
well, kind of, yeah, and I also just I'm not really attuned to that. Like if something's like over the top, oh, that would never happen. I'm just kind of like, well, it's the fantasy of the movie, so
Sure.
I kind of take it more as like you know how when you read something in a book, like an action scene or whatever, and then you have to just kind of imagine what happened or what the room looked like. That's kind of what I am with like the believability of action in a movie. It's just
Okay.
sort of, well, they defeated the bad guys, and then I kind of imagine the rest about how real or not real it was. But there is a point, I guess, when even I'm strained. So my question is actually going to go to you: how much of it was for you? Because the only real one that stuck out to me in a big way was there's a whole grenade fight,
Oh my
which was
gosh.
very cool, but also like it blows up like literally right next to her, and she has like zero reaction to that. She's just like, oh, and then like keeps going. And I'm like, I feel like you'd be a little more rattled. And then the other one was when she threw this like
Skate?
skating
The
blade,
ice skate.
an ice skate, but it like sticks in somebody's face.
Yeah, it straight impales him in the skull, and it's like,
I don't even think The
no.
Rock could throw it that hard to have it stick in someone's skull. It would just bounce off. So
It'd
that
do
was
some
weird.
damage, but
I
it
didn't get that.
wouldn't kill him. Like it's not reaching his brain for sure.
It's not gonna like.
She's like a freaking cannon. Just
Yeah.
no,
Kabunk.
no, it's not gonna happen.
Okay, so how does this compare with the other John Wick movies for you about the suspension of disbelief?
Like I said, none of them are really believable. I think these are more like a testament of your patience than anything else. Because this one suffered from the same problem I think the last couple of John Wick films did. It's just like, how long are we gonna go, man? Like, do you have an entire country you gotta butcher? Because that's what it feels like by the time you just feel tired. You're like, oh my gosh, how many people did you murder? So this one, it definitely was starting to like. I was like, okay, could just move on. I was so glad that it wasn't a big fight with the boss at the end, which I don't want to spoil too much there, but it wasn't like over
Yeah.
the top.
Well, the boss was the flamethrower guy.
Sure, sure.
You should get into that one now. You may as well, because that's in the part of the
Well-
ridiculousness,
Well,
right?
to your question, I think I would agree. I remember leaning over to you. I was like, she died like 6 times in this fight. Just
Yeah, I
there's
think
no
you said
way.
she keeps respawning or something like that.
I was
Yeah.
like, there's no way she's alive right now. Like, the idea was interesting because I understand that, like, John Wick's done that a couple times where he fights in like a knife store or something. So it's just a bunch of knives and what they can do with those things and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what can we do new? And they're like, well, grenades. And I was like, how the heck are you gonna? You understand how that works in a confined space, right? Like, there's no way she's living. Like, you could put him like there's one. She like shoves it in his mouth and like bops him, and then she pulls the pin out, and then she pushes him behind a metal door, and then she holds the door shut.
Yeah.
I was like, she's still in that room. Like, for one, that thing's slamming shut. For two, you're not hearing anything for the next 6 hours. Like,
Yeah.
no way.
But I guess they thought it would be a little lame if she went.
Well, of course it's lame, but that's the thing. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't really deal with that one. There's another one.
You know what? Before you go on, maybe she should have put on like the earmuff things. They
Sure.
had to have been in there. She could have worn those.
I mean, it's already cold out there anyway. But yeah, so the second one was she had the belt filled with grenades, and she wraps it around someone's neck, and then she grabs it and runs with it, jumps behind a metal table before it blows up, but she's still holding the belt. I was like,
So the rest didn't blow up when they should have.
it was just the proximity. I don't know exactly where the last one was on the belt and if it would have hit her hand or whatever, but I was like, you're telling me that that's it, like it's gonna flip that table with the amount of grenades that were trapped to that thing. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna fling you. But also, again, like the concussion itself is going to kill you. Like if you're in that confined space like that with what was it, like 5 grenades went off on this guy's head. It's like you're dead. You're so dead.
I think that one might have been just one, but even at the one, it's still like
She's dead.
don't think grenades work quite like that.
But yeah, then there was another scene, and it was funny. Don't get me wrong. Like so the stylized portion was her going out against Mr. Terminator there. I don't know what his name was, but
Yeah.
I'm back. I've returned. That was more of like a Sylvester Stallone, but he comes in and they both are fighting with flamethrowers. And this is the nitpick, I know. Like it's a stylized movie, but there's so many people in these films that are all using guns. They all run up to the protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why are you not all the way on the other side of the room with your scope? You like run up to her with your gun so she could grab it and start flinging you around. And it happens so many times in this film, but he does the same thing. He's like, I got a flamethrower, but I got to wait till I get close to get you. And it's like, why? That's the point of the flamethrower. But yeah, so they have this fight, and it's like, some of it's kind of cool. Like they jump and they do like the spin thing, and they're just blowing the whole. I was like, okay, this room is so hot that you guys can't breathe anymore. But I'm gonna try to stop inserting science here and just enjoy it. But then there's a scene where this guy, she shoots him. He's like, he starts walking away. She's like, no, you won't. Hits him again. And he's just like, and then he keeps walking. She's like, not at this stage. And then he starts crawling, and then she goes again. I'm like, okay, he's done. He's not going to fight anymore. I promise.
Burnt to a crisp.
He's got nothing left. He's dead.
Well, hard boiled. That's what she wanted.
It's like Anakin, as if Obi-Wan went and kicked him back in the lava. He's like, no. Well done. We want extra charred. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this movie. I should have had the scene ready. That would have been hilarious. But there's a scene where this chick runs out in the pool and she's got a gun and she keeps shooting in the air. And Leonardo DiCaprio's character has headphones on, so he didn't hear the fight going on as long as it was. But he sees her, freaks out. He's like, someone's in my pool. She's all bloody and messed up. She's shooting a gun. There's only one thing I can do. So he runs, grabs a flamethrower prop from one of his movies and torches her. He just runs up to the pool. It's like, this is what this reminds me of. There's so much more of a solution than the problem required.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good comparison because in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the context of that is that it's meant to be this excessive, over-the-top reaction to things.
Well, it's revenge porn on a meta level.
Yes,
because we all hate the actual event. So what if it went down this way? Whereas this one's like,
right. This one is just we're watching some guy get burned to a crisp for just happening to be the guy who didn't die.
It's your unlucky day, bub. Dude.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple where some people get it really bad. Like one guy, he's like knifed up and it's like in his throat or something. It's like it's in like a crucial area. I was like, ooh, he's down. And then
not yet.
He's like attacks her. He's like, I'm not through with you yet. And I was like,
he's very, very
I feel
dead.
like you're done. maybe sit down.
A freaking kitchen knife she stabs him like 3 times in the neck and he's like, I'm still going. No.
If I was him, wouldn't you just be like, I'm just gonna play dead? That's like if I was feeling well enough to fight,
I'd be more like, I really wish I was dead right now. Like, hopefully it comes really soon. This hurts a lot.
Maybe that's why he did it. He was like, if I go back at her, she'll finish me off for good, and then I can end it.
Then you don't fight. You just rock up. You're like, just all right, come on, bring it on, shoot me. But that's like when Christopher Lee was talking to Peter Jackson when they were talking about how Saruman, when he gets stabbed.
Oh yeah,
he was going to start screaming or whatever. And Christopher Lee, who is actually Special Forces.
Yeah, during World War II, right?
Something like that. Yeah. He was like, "That's not how a man sounds when he's stabbed. He's going through too much pain. He wouldn't make any sound at all." It's excuse me. But that's how it
You're
felt.
where?
Like, yeah, like
What this
feel like
sounds
this guy would I'd be really, really in pain if I'm like half decapitated by being stabbed with a kitchen knife in the neck 3 times. But okay, yeah, like
Should put a trigger warning on this episode. So much.
we're gonna make us. I mean, but this is the movie, right?
For
Okay, so
real.
let's jump into the second illusion then.
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk
I,
about the
I
flaming
apologize.
foot.
I apologize. Oh yeah.
There's
Oh
more.
my gosh, there's more. But wait.
We might as well get it out of the way altogether.
True.
So the guy sets his foot on fire.
Intentionally. He goes
Intentionally.
and stands on one of the burning bodies and lets his leg catch on fire.
Right. And then he starts kicking her around because now it's a flaming foot.
But they show
Way
her
more
like
intense.
scared. She's like, what's he gonna hit? He's burning his own leg. What are you scared about? He's still gonna just kick you.
And you have a flame resistant jacket on, which you put on. So that's what I'm saying. Like earmuffs, you had the flame resistant jacket. That wasn't super sexy, but it was something you needed to survive. So why can't you wear some earmuffs for the grenade scene? Because this took place in a gun store. She goes in to buy guns,
Right.
and then they get attacked. So I'm like, he has to have
Some kind of ear
soundproof
protection, yeah.
Yeah, he would have that laying around with all the grenades. Also, like, she's picking up guns in that one, but then, like, not checking for ammo. So I guess we were left to assume there was no ammo. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, but the flaming foot, the Spartan kick, and then there was that.
It was just funny how important that was like an 80s action movie thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what if he
yeah.
sets his foot on fire and kicks him with that? And it's like, yes. But yeah, you're just watching it like, wait, he's intentionally harming his own self. That's all he's doing. He's just charring his calf.
Yeah.
While beating her up
Because he knows she's wearing the jacket too.
Right.
You can see it.
Well,
So-
also like if you just kicking that the amount of time that impact's gonna hold on her, fire's not gonna do anything. It's just gonna. Oh, that was a little
it's like a
warm.
video game. If it's on fire,
Yeah.
then it deals like plus
Deals
1 damage.
2 damage instead. All right, well let's jump. All right,
Yeah.
there's our rant for the violence of the film and how over the top it was. Okay, so
Yeah,
second
and
thing-
I mean, whether or not you want to watch this movie or not. It's like
I
a
still
John Wick
recommend it.
movie.
It's still fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Still fun.
Okay, what's the next illusion you want to tackle?
Her name. So
Yes.
they call her Eve.
Right.
And whatever connotations you just got were the ones that everybody in the theater got. And then they mentioned that she's from a cult. And so I was like, okay, interesting. Eve, cult. Wonder where we're going with this. Nowhere.
Well, they also mentioned the Garden of Eden.
They do, yeah, intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the cult guy. That was,
I forget who that was. Someone said it.
yeah, I forget.
See, it doesn't matter though.
Right.
It's just it was like a. Okay, what do I do with that? The only thing I got out of the illusion is that Eve takes the forbidden fruit, and they do kind of toy with the idea that she could like walk away, but I didn't really feel like she could walk away very much. There was very little wiggle room to actually do that.
Okay.
I felt they kind of force her to be this assassin person.
They did give her a choice, but she's a kid, so I mean, how much, like, she's just going to go with
That's
who
what I'm
she
saying.
knows. Yeah.
She's a kid. Like,
Well, I'm trying to pull off that theme now. Like, if you take the forbidden fruit, the consequence that comes with that, which they do mention also with John Wick,
yeah.
is that when you take the fruit, now you have the knowledge, but you get kicked out of the garden. And she was kind of kicked out at the end, so she's like the outcast, I suppose. So now all the agents of heaven are coming after her. But that's like
That's an interesting illusion.
half Luciferian, half Eve. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, that's the other thing too, though, and this part is going to be spoilery because there is one effective thing that they do. I do feel like we got to spoil it though because otherwise there's not really that much else to talk about.
true.
But so basically, you see the prologue in which she's a little girl and her dad is like a John Wick assassin guy, and then this group comes after him and then they kill him, and
And they make
know,
him look almost exactly like John Wick. Like,
pretty much he does a whole John Wick fight scene.
yep. And
whatever.
he's got the long hair and the beard. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
So then they do that, and then he dies, and then that's when she gets picked up and offered to like be this ballerina assassin person. But then it's revealed later on in an actually pretty good twist that she has a twin sister. And that origin story we were
Not a
watching,
twin.
or not a twin,
Yeah,
but
she's older.
yeah, but a sister. And the sister is actually the one we were seeing in that opening prologue, not her. So it kind of misleads you with that. And I thought that was a really clever twist because I was like, all right, so that's interesting. Like, so what role does her sister play in this? If she's Eve, then what's that make her sister?
Wait. What happened? No. No, that was Eve in that one. It's Ana de Armas. It absolutely is. That would have been an interesting twist, but it's not the twist.
Sorry, this movie was not as deep as I thought it was. And I already didn't think it was that deep.
So
Oh, that's right, because they call her by name.
They call her by name. He's the one that walks her straight to the ballerina program and drops her off. And then at the end, when the sister's talking to her, she's like, I was too old. I had already killed somebody by the time Dad took you. So when Dad died with you, I was left here, and I wondered why he took you and not me.
Oh,
yep.
That's
So you
that's
thought there
way
was-
lamer. That way that goes down. Yeah, so I guess it's not a spoiler then. My version was just way better.
Your version was just straight and
because
correct.
I thought it
from
was
the
a twist. I thought it was like they both went down like similar parallel lives almost.
Oh,
And then
okay.
it's just we were watching one thinking that it was associated with this person, but then it's like, no, it's actually associated with someone else. That's the real one we were showing you. Because then it was like, ooh, what does that mean then going forward? And then like,
Nothing.
because then it basically changed the context of the character in my head. Because then I thought, oh, well, her motivation for revenge is different then because she experienced a different backstory than what I saw. But no, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter anyways, because literally immediately after this, the sister character dies. They just straight up kill her. And I was like, okay, so we had the one interesting thread in this movie that you've now just gotten rid of instantly.
It also had almost zero emotional impact. Like, it's super important to Eve that she goes and gets her father's killers.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't find out until later that she has a sister, which you'd think would be the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I do have some family that are still alive. Maybe we can team up. Like, we can bring her out with me or something.
And that puts her sister in an interesting conflict because she's like, well, I've been allied with this cult all my life, but you're family, and they're telling me that you're not family. That doesn't make sense.
Well, they're telling me that they're my family, but you're my actual blood family.
Right.
That I thought was
Should
gone.
that count for something?
Right.
And because they're not willing to listen to that, it's like maybe she on the fly. It's an action movie. I get it. Like she can't like bemoan this very much, but she could just be like conflicted and maybe like turn away and be like, I don't have to help you, but I don't have to help them either.
Sure.
And then like as the situation develops, have a change of heart and be like, jump into a scene and then.
Well, that would have been
shoot.
more interesting saving portion of it, because remember when Wick saves her?
Yeah.
It's like, well, that would have been more cool if the sister did it.
It
That
would
was
have
her
been.
change of heart moment, because then it would have had an emotional. It would have been a heart to the movie.
Yeah.
And it's cool that Wick is there, but like, so what I was expecting by the time we got to that part,
Okay.
because they introduce Norman Reedus in this movie
Yeah.
as a member of the cult gang, but he's just a window into what the cult does and kind of a way for Ana de Armas to figure out, or the ballerina Eve, to figure out like what had happened to her. So she has like a sympathetic character because that guy's got a daughter and he's trying to escape the cult and they won't let him. So it's to her, it's just like, this is similar to what happened to me, so I'll save the daughter. But they intentionally don't show you that Norman Reedus dies. It looks like he gets hurt, and maybe he died off screen, but it's like, well, it's Norman Reedus, so they didn't kill him. And I know this is like meta, but whatever. You know he's not dead. So my opinion was like, okay, so he's going to come in at the end to help save, because they kidnap his daughter. So I was like, wouldn't he be coming back for his daughter
Right.
at the end? And maybe he can help Ballerina. So I thought it would be Ballerina, her sister, Norman Reedus, and John Wick as like a team fighting against this cult.
Yeah.
Which would have been a sick action scene. And I could have dealt with that for 45 minutes.
Yeah, agreed. And that would have worked better too because I mean, the cult is set up in this like town and literally every single person there is
including
a member.
the children.
Yep. The kids, everybody. Everybody is like I mean, they don't have the kids attack her,
Thank God.
But like, you know, if you were over the age of like 12, then it's like, gotta get her. So everyone comes after her, every person. So like if there was a team of 4,
Right.
with, you know, it's like, all right, I can buy that a little bit because they could coordinate with one another. But it's like, you're telling me she's by herself. She doesn't know the layout like everybody else does. And these are all highly trained assassins. Well, these must be the worst assassins ever because they couldn't get her
Yeah,
for
one
anything.
person against the whole town in their town.
It's
Couldn't do
also
it.
weird too, because like she's gunning people down. Like there's shots where she's like, bam, bam, and then like takes out some guy, and then like the wife comes at her, and it's like they were a couple, but she has zero reaction to her husband just getting blown
Yeah.
away. And like vice versa. That happened like multiple times where they're just like, ah, like come after her like some goon. And I'm like, but you're having this like idyllic life out here, no reaction.
anymore.
I guess you're just that brainwashed by this cult, whatever you guys are
Yeah,
about.
maybe they'll mourn later. That'll be the sequel. Is all the bemoan.
And that's all you'll get. They'll just say they brainwashed us, and then they'll move
Sure.
on, and that's it.
Maybe.
And you'll be like, what did that mean?
Doesn't matter.
Brainwashed you to believe what?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that this was all about family with this cult thing.
How can you just say that if you're saying you were brainwashed?
Yeah, then that's another illusion that they make was this cult thing. Because there's one leader, and it seems like, maybe I'm reading too far into this, but it seems like he's like somehow related to all the people in there.
He was definitely related to the Norman Reedus's kid, but he didn't look like her grandfather at all. But I guess
No.
that's possible.
I guess it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But he seems to be the one with some sort of free thinking. He's constantly talking about family.
But what I'm saying is like like what you're saying. He's like this. It's very sus.
It is. It's suspicious, and it doesn't care to explain it. There's a couple of risks that this movie could have taken that it didn't. And it even alluded to it at one point. I remember there's one scene where Eve goes up to a door, and I don't remember if she kicks it open or what, but there's a kid right there. And it's already shown that the kids have some kind of combat training. They're part of this cult. So, like, they're trained from a young age. They're like Jedi. But she comes face to face with him. And I was like, are they going to go this far? Is she going to fight this kid or, like, figure out how to do this or something? But then the two parents come out and start fighting.
Yeah.
And then she butchers both the parents, and the kid's just gone. He doesn't come out again.
Well, they're like get inside,
Yeah, go.
sweetie. We're gonna kill this person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, oh, okay. I thought they were going to try and take that risk. And then they make the illusions that he's like a cult leader. And there might be some connotations there. There might not. I don't really know. But they don't expound on that either at all. They're like, it doesn't matter. They're just a cult. And I was like,
They do follow
Okay.
him just like to a T.
right.
Because he gives the order to kill that one girl, and they're like, she's one of us. And he's like,
Not
"Oh."
anymore.
And then they're just like, eh.
Sure.
All right, well, you heard him. Got to do it, I guess.
Guess we are brainwashed, you know. this is our life.
Yeah, like, wouldn't you have? I don't know. The cult made no sense. It's like it just kind of felt like it felt weird. Like it was fine when it started, and then as the scene kept going on and on and on, this whole day of fighting these cultists, it was like, okay, like I got that the person, working the shop to serves coffee or whatever, I get that she is secretly a cult member, and so she would have the ability to like, be trained and to fight, and she would get into some action. But it was like every person.
Yeah.
It was like, so there's no one in this town. Like, wouldn't it be like halvesies? Like, you're just secret underground? Because that's what the ballerinas are. They're just,
Right.
they're within the city, but they're not everyone in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, how many members do they have?
all of them.
They have so many people. And, like, is there no,
Well, not
like,
anymore.
tiers?
They had one ballerina dance through their town. This is laid waste.
But, like, so you don't have, there's no one in the cult who's like, well, my role is to do this and just have, like, a normal life. I mean, why are you even selling coffee? What's the point of that? When you're all just
Well, they have
like,
to live some kind of normal life. They're not always killing ballerinas.
it seemed like they were very interested in that.
But also, yeah, they sucked at it. Like, being trained from birth, one ballerina comes through and almost wipes out the whole town. It's like,
Sounds like you guys need to up
Because-
your
yeah.
training. That's what I'm getting from this.
fix some things.
You're all
here.
about numbers, and numbers aren't enough.
They were not. Especially when you brought Wick into the mix. I was like, oh, man, he killed like 2 on his own. Ballerina got the other 5,004. Like, jeez. Well,
Is there anything you liked about this movie, though? Because you said you'd recommend it. What did you like about it?
Like I said, it doesn't try to be anything more than it is. Like, we're definitely harping on it for the entertainment value because it's funny. But all together, I mean, it's a fun entry into the Wick universe. Like, because it is part. I mean, it doesn't veer too far off of what the other Wick movies do.
That's
The other
fair.
Wick movies, like I said, are just as unbelievable, just as violent, just as like. So you're getting exactly what you think you're getting.
Hmm.
It is a little bit harder to believe it with the 110-pound girl running around, but you know, take it for what it is. It doesn't. It doesn't shove a message so far, so it doesn't feel so propaganda esque. Which is
No.
kind of what I was worried about. I was like, man, they're gonna really hype up the girl thing, but they have the song "Fight Like a Girl" at the end, and like they have that line. But I was like, this actually fits what they're doing here, so
Yeah.
it wasn't so in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you expect it to be.
Hmm.
It's a lot of fun. Like you could tell that the stunt guys had a lot of fun on the set
Yeah.
because it's literally the whole movie. The whole movie. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they directed most of the scenes in this film just because of
Yeah.
how much action is in it. So I mean, for that,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a fun movie. Like it's a brainless one, but it's a fun one.
Yeah, it's an interesting like shift that we've seen ever since like I think it was actually Winter Soldier that kind of spurred this into motion with the Russo brothers, where like they kind of have like a it's like I don't know if it was them or who, but it's like as stunt choreographers kind of like take over the whole sequence of the fight, but then
Yeah.
that becomes so much of the movie that they're basically the director
Yeah.
all the way through. And so, like looking at the director for this, because it wasn't the same director as the Wick movies, it was somebody else. And he actually made Live Free or Die Hard. And I'm like, yeah, that was a fun action movie as well. But that movie had a little bit more of a through line of like the narrative's building somewhere. We have character development, we have an arc. Like we've got all those things you typically see.
Sure.
And this is like really sparse, just real sparse. It's like, 15 minutes of backstory just before we get to Anna Damas. And then when we do, it's like we need to do all the training stuff. And so it's just more exposition
Yeah.
and more exposition. And then we skip over to the end. It's just like fighting and fighting and fighting. I'm like, wait a minute. We have a character here. There's still a story. And like we'll be more engaged with just that little bit more of it, but they weren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
I
Weren't
will
really interested.
Oh, I was gonna say, I will say though that I did like the first mission she goes on, and I'm glad they showed that because she gets pretty roughed up, and that felt good because it was a natural way to show, okay, she's still inexperienced.
Sure. Yeah.
But
It's
then by
different.
the end of the movie, she's Wick, so I'm like, how did that
Right.
happen?
Yeah. Wick number 2. Wick. Wick point 5.
One failed fight, that's all you need,
That's
and you'll
it.
get there.
And you are basically John Wick. Yeah. I would have. I mean, just as like a random aside, that's where I would have started the movie, which is her first mission, and then the guy that attacks her, because then that introduces you to the cult, because that just handles everything right there.
I see.
She's inexperienced, and then
Yeah,
I would from there I'd go to the ballerina lessons and then do something with that
yeah.
to like introduce that. But
hmm
that's just a random, like, just an aside as like a HolmFront fixes. Anyway,
Well, yeah, because they'll do stuff like they're like she's training with someone else in the ballerina thing, and then they're like, well, she's sad, but you're angry.
yeah, it's like you have pain, she has sadness. They're different. They're different motivators. It's like okay,
Which
well,
is again interesting.
yeah, and then they're just like that's all you get of that.
So she's angry. She's had so much pain, and then it was like, well, it doesn't feel like it when she's just like, my sister, who I just found out is my sister, got blown away.
Yeah. Well,
Time to take out some cultists.
back to the genocide. We got some families to kill.
Let's do that for 45 minutes. Holy cow. Okay.
Well, do you have any other further points?
Not so much, just like the brakes, you guys. A little bit on the brakes.
You don't need
Okay.
you don't need to kill everyone. Leave some bad guys for the sequel. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, it just kind of. They left it open for a sequel, but I'm just like, but you didn't do really anything.
No.
So it doesn't, it's like, so little was accomplished.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a brainless roller coaster movie.
Yeah.
Looks pretty, a lot of fun action scenes, and that's pretty much it.
How does this rank with the other John Wick movies for you?
straight line, I guess.
Straight line.
Like John Wick 1 for me, and then it's
and then everything else
everything
just
just kind of slow and straight.
Hmm.
What about you?
Well, chapter 4 is my favorite.
Okay.
I know, at the stairs scene. I know.
So much.
But I liked the Donnie Yen character
Okay.
a lot.
Yeah.
And I liked all the stylistic stuff. That was something I could have done with a bit more of in this movie. I mean, they tried. It was there. It's not that it wasn't. But, like, you know, there's the whole scene where they, like, play cards, and then they go to, like, the rave, and then they go to, you know, there's just, like, cool set pieces. And then, like, the car scene where he's, like, driving and, like, shooting people.
Oh, yeah.
That was rad. So, you know, just John Wick Chapter 4 just went all in. But then each set piece kind of led into the next, and there was lots of cool, like, cinematic flair in between them. And this one kind of felt like, I mean, because the cult, like, hub at the end was, like, the big event, the sort of snowy mountain town, which was a cool setting for it. And I liked they got the kind of ice rink thing.
Yeah.
But then they were only there for, like, a very brief bit. And
They
then
only
it's
killed
back
like
out.
4 people there.
Yeah, so it
That's
just
it.
felt like it wasn't really utilized.
No.
Well, I'm talking proportion here.
I know.
4 people out of like 300 is not very many.
Not that many. It was a very minimal amount comparatively. I do have one final point, and then I think we'll close.
Go for it.
There's only one dog in this movie. And he barely has any screen time. The heck is that about?
More pooch.
More pooch. I mean, I gotta say, I'd probably like number 3 just for that reason.
Oh, yeah.
Holly
these
Berry
the
wasn't the
dogs.
greatest, but they had the dogs going all out, and I was like,
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
more of that. And then they're like, yeah, the dog angle was kind of old. And I was like, it's not. It's not.
What about other animals?
Dogs.
Well, you could do dogs versus, you know, something else. Like maybe the cult guys have like rats.
They
or
did that in
something.
the first one. It was a dog versus a dude. The dude won, and then everyone died. And that's John Wick. Well, any other points? Okay. Would recommend 3 out of 5. Thank you for watching. So you made it to the end of the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you thought.